extensive skill trees, which could go to show some character selection that we're going to be seeing on display here as Shuton pivots away from the Olimar and goes the Aegis for game number 1.
Yeah, unfortunately, Olimar just can't do it in this meta, as we have
Yeah,
discussed. But yeah, getting into game number 1 here, the immediate sacrifice of the Luma. We're going to be seeing that a lot, especially with a character like Mythra on the screen. Very good at splitting those two up, and oh my goodness, that was 18 seconds, Zubul.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, when it comes to Rosalina, there's a multitude of weaknesses that you can exploit that certainly Shuton is starting to exploit. Number 1, get rid of Luma, and then Rosa can kind of be a sitting duck. Number 2, her recovery's got no hitbox, and that's a classic weakness to just put out at something at the 2-frame angle and try to bully.
Yeah, the 3-0 might be a little bit tougher this time around. We will have to see what happens. Of course, you've got the time for the adaptation going nice and even now. It's just going to be hard to overcome that gulf. So if you are M.Pop0, you've surely been in this situation before, and you recognize that sometimes it's not always about taking this game number 1 at this point. It's about catching up, figuring out what's going on, and finding a way to come back in the rest of the set. It's a long set.
Man. Yeah, 5 games in any set is always going to be plenty of time to at least make some changes. This game 1 is certainly looking a little bit rough here in Lantini. We're seeing Shuton do all of the early tricks that Aegis players will love to try and mix in, not as consistent tools, but certainly as, are you ready for this type of moments? Like the different Pyra down air setups, and of course, like side B footstool, anything Mythra does. Right?
Yeah, pick your favorite. Honestly, these days, anything Pyra does as well. I've seen Leo.
Yeah, for real.
This character's a threat at any stage in the game, and the sharking right now from Shuton, making it so hard for M.Pop0 to overcome that floatiness and find a way to land, because outside of, say, down air, you don't have a lot of pressure on the way down. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, that's tough. It's hard to really elaborate just how frustrating a matchup like this can be, where if you ever consider recovering low as Rosalina and Luma, one of the floatiest slow fallers characters in the game, it can just be over just like that. And that wasn't even an upbeat. That was just an attempt to try and get Shuton away from the down air at ledge like cycle. And unfortunately, Pyra down air is just that much of a house.
It's a good move. It's a real good move. Oh, we going to Venom? Go take me to Venom.
Yeah, let's go.
Down air goes stupid on Venom, though.
Everyone gets one funky stage kind of thing.
I think we should actually enact that. That would be great. Give me one silly Billy stage in my best of 5. We are seeing the counter pick from M.Pop0. I feel like this might be worth exploring.
Yeah, especially in game number 2. Game 1 is always a little bit hard to discern of like what you should be doing on paper, and it's at this level, playing your best character makes sense. But that game did not go great, as we kind of saw. So it's time for the top tier.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, bring out the top tier, set up that gyro, hold your 6% into my neutral, but Shuton's still shutting down, of course, going to be, by nature of this being a top tier, very familiar with the matchups. There's not going to be any surprises that you can really pull out as M.Pop0 with the secondary.
We've been talking a lot about like how M.Pop0 can kind of like maybe bring something back here. Of course, the counter pick is a great idea. But I think what's been just impressive to watch, what's always impressive to watch, is how Shuton dissects people. The way that Shuton follows drift, the understanding of different defensive habits, knowing what position makes and forces certain actions. At that point, just by holding close to the ledge and threatening down air a lot of times, Shuton knows he can start to condition jumps and then cover with these big sweeping hitboxes. And R.O.B is such a big body that anytime you catch R.O.B in midair, Aegis is going to have the advantage no matter what side of the coin you're flipping.
And that kind of game plan is what makes Shuton Mr. Consistency. Like, he's never clinched out that #1 in the world title, but he is always there. He's always a threat, always hovering in that top 10 range. And I think that ability to dissect, to adapt in real time to whatever cheesy game plan or scam that your opponent is trying to bring that you've never seen before, is part of what helps him stay there, because he doesn't just get wildly upset like a lot of other top players do nearly as often.
Yeah, 1000% Martini. Oh man, even threatening the shield poke because of that shield health too low. Getting bullied here on ledge despite being in disadvantage. Finally, a meaty back air ends up landing. No downer, no up smash either. This has been Mythra fishing for any sort of finisher as Shuton slowly but surely whittles away at this final stuff.
Honestly, very reminiscent of the last game, right? We saw the same thing. That 3-stock was a very late 3-stock. It ended with a downer, which we just saw Shuton trying to pull out again. Instead, blazing end into the footstool tech chase read, and the up special is going to do it. How dare you get hit at half screen by my turbo laggy move? What were you thinking?
And the funny part is that you'd never see Shuton go for the footstool multiple times in a row. Sometimes I like to think that some of the phantom footstools are intentional. Sometimes you get the actual one and you get a whole tech chase out of it if Popo or any player isn't consistently ready for it. And sometimes you just don't follow up at all. You just play the jump after. That's the type of players that Pyra's offensive game plan can have that are just so potent.
Yeah, she has so many threats that she can pull from there. So you don't get to play the honest fundies game for too long, because eventually someone of Shuton's caliber is going to find that. It forces you to commit, it forces you to make riskier decisions, and then on the flip side of things, Shuton just gets to punish those if you misspace them or mistime them like we just saw.
Ooh. You know, looking at how R.O.B plays in this matchup and how R.O.B can play in this metagame, like there is a lot of validity to this pick. The edge guarding, of course, down tilt as a way to challenge on the ground is really important. But it's kind of insane that Mythra forward air, Mythra short hop forward air is like such a potent answer to typical space down tilts.
Yeah, I feel like that's an example of those things where something can just become an awkward, hard matchup solely because it alters your game plan, even if the matchup could be argued winning on your side. Just not being able to play the way you're familiar with, that adaptation is a whole other layer of challenge that gets added on top.
Yeah, 1000% here. And, you know, seeing some adaptation on Popo's side of things, that's a tough, effectively raw DP there, using the up B instantly. Low-key, that's what that option was.
I can see it. Shuton is on the back foot for the first time in the set. As soon as I say that, the stock does drop, but M.Pop0 getting that crucial first stock goes such a long way. Trying to fake out with the plat drop double jump. I like the idea there. Shuton was ready, but those are the kinds of things that can keep M.Pop0 in this set.
A little bit late on that rising back air out of shield. You still find it anyway because you can still play the mix-up. Mythra's frame data is just absurd. But I like that Shuton's so willing to play the Pyra in these corner scenarios, so willing to try and answer strength for strength. And I mean, the proof of it is in the pudding, how quickly stocks can be threatened once Pyra steps on screen. Another roll-on gets by, but we're threatening through these platforms, trying for an empty lane mix-up, trying for any sort of hit, and we find our answer.
And I'm not seeing Shuton have the Pyra overstay her welcome. We just saw a great example of it. Like, he was fishing for a kill option there, but in between, he actually swapped to the Mythra for a juggle scenario, recognizing where the strength would come from. So M.Pop0 has to be aware of that, has to always be on point for things like that swap for the blazing ends. 7% now, though. The question is, will you stick to the Pyra? Goes for another footstool, doesn't get the tech chase this time, but no punish, so not a bad situation.
Oh my god.
He loves waypoints.
He's moving. He's trying to fake out any sort of like jump out of shield. I mean, the downside of a universal frame 3 jump squat is that everybody starts jumping. So Shuton has been hard scouting that the entire game. Even when the rolls come out, even when any other like shield drop option comes through, spot dodge, etc. It's always been like a burst for tier 1, level 1 scout jump. Then we'll see what happens after.
He is scouting, that is for sure. Has brought this all the way back and then some, because once again, it's the same situation. M.Pop0 can't get the kill here. Shuton spacing with that blazing end, forcing M.Pop0 into shield, gets the throw now, and now you are getting sharked for your life. Sure enough, the Nair comes out, and now it is Shuton with the 3-0.
And that looked pretty good on the side of Shuton. It would be hard to see without a slowdown to see if that was like a catch of a jump or a shield poke. Rob is a rather big body after all, but all the same, like that was just kind of a
Yeah,
dissection.
either way, you are stuck in that pressure. It goes to show exactly how you can utilize the positional advantages that you get out of not the best throw that Pyra Mythra have, right? Like that's one of the things you get to do against them. You get to shield, but Shuton with that throw forced an awkward scenario from M.Pop0 on the platform where you're able to utilize those aerials to get the kill and close out the set.